Raphaël Varane has agreed 100% with the personal terms to join Manchester United. It is a done deal between Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Manchester United, and Raphaël Varane's representatives. He wants to be a Red Devil next season. The base fee has now been agreed between Man United and Real Madrid, with just the add-ons and the payment structure to be resolved, along with the legalities that will be reviewed at the early part of next week. This deal is 99% done. Both Real Madrid and Man United, along with Raphaël Varane, would be very shocked at this moment if the deal wasn't to go through. The announcement is pending. Varane looks like he's going to be red. In fact, I'm going to say it with chest. Raphaël Varane is red. He will be a Manchester United player. Hit that like button. Hit that share button. Here we go. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. As we said in the opening, Raphaël Varane has agreed 100% to his personal terms with Man United. He's agreed to play for us. He has signed for us. He wants to come and be a Manchester United player. Still a lot of talk around the transfer fee needing to be resolved between Manchester United and Real Madrid. That is quite simply, it's in the same position that Man United and Dortmund were in the closing week or so of that deal. It is more about structure. It is more about the legalities and the makeup of the potential add-ons. Real Madrid want somewhere in a bit more than 50 million euros. Man United are willing to do that, but they want to make that as performance-related add-ons for the player. They want to spread the cost of this transfer deal over a minimum 4-year period. A minimum 4-year period. Of course, the player is getting a 5-year contract. United want to spread those costs. It will, in terms of salary and outgoings on an annual basis, cost Man United in between £8 to £10 million per year in terms of the transfer fee. Of course, a big salary has been offered to the player. I've seen numerous reports range from between £10 and £12 million a year, and he's absolutely worth it. One of the best centre-backs to be joining the Premier League in the history of this brilliant tournament. It really is. You think of the companies, the Stams, the Carvalhos, the Torres, the Vidiches of this world. I think Raphaël Varane moves straight into that realm. This is a 5-year contract. It is almost over the line, ladies and gentlemen. It's a huge deal, not just for Man United, but for the Premier League, the brand of the Premier League. We are taking one of La Liga's and Europe's biggest players, one of their biggest stars, one of their biggest talents. We're taking one of the current world champions. We're taking one of the main men from the Champions League three-peat. We are taking one of the biggest names in contemporary European football. He is joining Man United. He is joining the best league in the world. More and more proof that the desire to come and play in this gargantuan, this brilliant tournament is well and truly alive. And what a Premier League season this sets up. And do you know why it sets up a great Premier League season? Because suddenly Man United have higher expectations. Suddenly Man United have less excuses. It's got to be great for rivals. If and when Ollie tax kicks in, it's open season when it comes to banter. But I do want your thoughts and your feelings. We've got an amazing poll going this morning. And I also want to take your calls on this as well. A little bit of fun for a Saturday morning stream. Who is the greatest ever foreign centre-back in Premier League history? The options on the poll, we can only have 4. I picked Vidic, Company, Van Dijk, and Jaap Stam. Currently leading the way with 70% of the vote is Nemanja Vidic. I would like to know, and you phone up as well, where would you rank Raphaël Varane in this as well? I'm intrigued to know. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings on this as well. I do, people. Make sure that like button's been smashed. I'm going to go to some of your comments coming in now. I want to know what you've got to say. Terry, too early to compare. He hasn't kicked a ball in the Prem. Well, compare it in terms of where you think he's going to rank. But I also want to know who you think the best is. This is about your opinions now, viewers. I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Kieran says, hopefully it works out with Varane like it did PK. come on, Liverpool will still pipe United next year. And that's what I want to see. Entirely Blues says Varane is mistake prone. I did see a mistake from him last season or at some point. I think it was last year because there's no crowd in the stadium where he kind of like dodged the ball and he let a player run through and score. Do you know what I'm really excited about with Varane coming in? All the prop, the negative prop that's going to come now, all the mistakes, all the problems. There'll be. I'm going to do this. I've saved a lot of when Gem went viral on Twitter. 100,000 views, I think the video got, for saying that Varane was a pace merchant. I have bookmarked and screenshot a lot of people that said how well class he was. I'm intrigued to go check out their, once he signs for Man United, I will be checking out their Twitter pages to see whether the opinion changes. I will be seeing whether the opinion changes on this player. Very much looking forward to that. Baz10 says, Terry, the only reason I won't believe transfers with United is because remember Sancho last year? It was pretty much a guarantee and it didn't materialize. I believe it when I see it. Baz10, that's a sensible approach and I understand it. There is still this 1% chance that at the 11th hour, Varane changes his mind. Until the player transfer cards have moved across, even him signing like he's done, digitally signing, we most sign these days, the personal terms and rubber stamping them, he can still walk away at this point if indeed he changes his mind. So I understand the trepidation. What you've got to remember is Man United have got new men negotiating. They have not the money side. Leave that to the financiers. Myrtle and Fletcher have done an impeccable job so far this year. And the level of confidence that's growing in me around them is massive. The news about Varane to Man United, it's too widespread. There are too many credible journalists from Mohamed Basfara, Dean Jones. Of course, we've had Patrick Berger this morning. There's Fabrizio Romano. They've all reported the same thing. The fact that tier ones haven't said it's 100% going to happen also makes me very, very confident indeed. They're all just holding back because none of them want to get it wrong. I don't have the same concerns as a tier one journalist because I don't need to be credible in that way. I'm an aggregator. I'm a YouTuber. I give fans a voice. Based on what I've been told, based on conversations that I have had, based on what I've read from these same journalists, I am 99.999% sure he is going to be a Manchester United player. When the news comes out as thick and as fast as it has done, I just don't think you can get away from it at all. Vidic currently still leading that poll with 67% of the vote. Make sure like buttons are being hit. The Vav here says Vidic was amongst the best I've ever seen. Him and Vidic pairing amongst the best in Europe. Absolutely. One of the best partnerships in the history of football. I think United will get him for more than 42. It's interesting, really. I've seen some places say 50 million. I get a feeling 50 million pound is going, and this is purely a feeling. Nobody I've spoken to has given me an indication as to what the fee is going to be. No one really, clubs never reveal them parts. Even players don't reveal them parts. It's vulgar to talk money. They never talk about it. I was even talking to an agent the other day about one of his players, and I asked about money, and he laughed and said, I'm not telling you that. And I've known this guy for 6 years, and he's like, no, I'm not telling you how much he earns, which is why I trust him. There's credibility there. So I get a feeling the total deal, including add-ons, is going to be around 50 million pounds. I think the base fee is going to be in the low 40 million pound range, near the 50 million euro mark they're looking for. That will be spread over a 4 to 5 year period, as are most transfers. Let's just have that be said. But the reason we iterate that a lot on the terrace is because it gets lost a lot. They seem to miss it out for some. It's weird. Paying in installments can be seen as brilliant moves by some clubs and like cheapskates by others. But yet it's the same practice for all. I'm going to get KJ on in a few moments to have your say. We've also shared the link that's pinned to the live comment section. If you want to give us your thoughts and your feelings today on what's going on, please get that done. Remember, Kieran Trippier to Man United is a deal that's closing in. As we brought to you yesterday, the Iwar deal has really picked up pace in recent days as well. And as we spoke about last night, Ben White is an Arsenal player. We told you 4 or 5 days ago that was pretty much done, dusted, over the line. It was all but confirmed, the announcement on that. So, do you know what's funny? I'm actually getting bored now of it. Now, I don't even care about announcements anymore in football. I have no care in the world when it comes to announcements. All I care about is when we get the confirmation that all I care about is the holding tweet, the holding message. I move on then. All the shenanigans with shirts and I want to see him in the shirt. Man, I'm going to see him play football in 3 weeks for my club. I don't really care about any of that. It's all about getting these deals done. It's a sales process that I love here. And, of course, talking about the player's ability. Rich M says, Vidic got embarrassed by Torres. Yeah, once. Do you know what I love about the Vidic-Torres story? I don't have the stats in front of me. I read it in an article once. I think they played against each other like 15 times. And Torres had like 1.5 good games against him. The rest of the time, he had a complete shutout. But that one game always stands true. And that's what you call, it's called availability bias. Because that one game is so vivid in your mind, your brain takes a shortcut when assessing the challenge between the two. And because of that one standout example, it says Vidic never got the best of Torres. But think about it this way. As a centre-back, ideally, you say like Varane goes up against the best striker in the world 20 times. If you're a Man United fan and Varane's your player, you want him to win that battle 20 times out of 20. But I would take winning it 19 times out of 20 and to guarantee at the cost of one of them being an embarrassment, to know that the 19 other times we play, my player's coming out on top. That's essentially what happened there with Vidic. Sancho is on holiday with Rashford. Yes, but everything's done. All the videos, all the signings, that's all done and dusted. Man United are never going to let him go on holiday before that's done. Like, it's all over the line. Don't worry about it. United are waiting for the right time to release this. Varane and Maguire looks good on paper. Top 3 in the Premier League. It absolutely does. Stam, although he had a short time at United, his impact was immense. If he didn't have that rift with Sir Alex Ferguson, he stays at the club and becomes one of the best Premier League defenders of all time. Again, people talk about Varane's impact. Sorry, Van Dijk's impact and how quickly Liverpool improved. People actually forget that Stam came in and we won a treble and we did a three-peat in the Premier League. It's just a madness how good this guy was. And yeah, it was unfortunate to see him leave. Ricardo Carvalho should be in the poll. Yeah, do you know what? I'm sad to leave him out, but Twitter only allows 4 names. Only allows 4 names. And I wanted to see how people thought Van Dijk stacked up as well. So very, very sorry and apologies to him. Ramos was past his prime evidence in the game against Chelsea. There we go. I don't see United buying Varane on the cheap when Real Madrid have just lost Ramos. They don't have a great... What you've got to understand, my friend, is they don't have a great deal of control over this. Varane has told Real Madrid bluntly, if you don't allow this deal to go through, I'll sign for Man United for free next year. You get nothing for me. They pay him... They'll lose £9 million a year on him in salary. They'll have a player that doesn't want to be there. They'll have a space in their squad that they're not going to be able to fill with somebody for the future. They've got financial problems themselves, so they need to raise the money to be able to buy somebody else. It is a catastrophic disaster to price Man United out of this move. Man United have approached this very diligently, very respectfully, but they know they're in the driving seat. The official bid, just forget worrying about the official bid. The official bid element is just, I don't even know why it's spoken about. United will submit that once everything's aligned, once all the legalities have been reviewed and the legal teams are happy, the compliance teams are happy, the commercial teams are happy. The players already signed. Once Real Madrid say, listen, we're happy to take it over 3 years, 4 years. We're happy to have those add-on clauses, and we're happy with the legalities behind them. Then Man United will submit their official bid. The base has been agreed already. Those informal bids or those formal inquiries, whatever phrase you like to use, that's been going on over the past 4 to 5 days. Could we do X, Y, and Z? That's all happening for the past 4 or 5 days since the 12th. Go back and check our Twitter account. We put it out there. So everybody relax about official bids. The official bids are not important. To reiterate before I bring KJ in, with anyone who's just tuned in, firstly, smash the like button for the Football Terrace. As confirmed to you, on the 12th of July, Varane to Man United turned real. Interestingly, just to go back a few steps, it's only a few days before that we did a video talking about the problems. There was this sense, this huge sense from the Man United camp that because Varane wanted to wait for this third and final offer from Madrid, that maybe there was this feeling of, oh, after all, he could have been using us for a better deal. However, for the 12th of July, Man United were made abundantly clear that he wants to become a Red. He wants to move to the Premier League. Since the 12th of July, Man United have been negotiating. Last night, we got confirmation on the Football Terrace that the deal was close, was in advanced talks and was close to being a completed deal. This morning, what I can reveal to you is personal terms are 100% signed, sealed, delivered. Base fee agreed. Legal review underway. Final fee structure to be resolved. The official bid will be the final piece of the jigsaw once everything else is agreed. The announcement of the completed deal is imminent. It is very soon. Varane is red. He will be a Manchester United player. United fans, hit that like and that share button. Rival fans, I want your views and your opinions on this. Let's jump onto the line and get KJ here with us. Had a bit of a break this week, really. Been on a little bit, but not as much as usual. KJ's here with me. Give me your thoughts, brother.
I made a tweet months ago, saying what players I wanted, and Varane was one of them. And I put him in there, and I thought this will never happen, but because it's Twitter and I can dream, let me dream in it. Varane actually he's coming to United. I never thought in this life that I would see Man United at a team that wasn't Real Madrid or a team in Europe. I just never saw him coming to the Prem. And he's actually going to come to our team. That's very mad, you know, like very, very mad. And it transforms our defense from a good to a very good defense to a potential title challenging world-class defense. It does. And anyone who denies that, I personally believe they're just hating on Man United, because before Varane signs, it's his world class, he's amazing, like he's been one of the best centre backs over the last decade. To now, it's a bit overrated though. Oh, remember that mistake against Chelsea? Remember that mistake against this team? Oh, I can't do it without Ramos. Like it's funny how narratives change when certain players decide to go certain places. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I can't believe it's happening. And I cannot wait to see him in that United red, playing next to Maguire, next to Aaron Bissaka, alongside Luke Shaw. And goalkeeper, it will be what it is. But it helps us out so much, because you've already heard the reports of Ollie changing to a 4-3-3 system potentially next season, which a lot of fans have been crying out for. Now that that's happening, a lot of fans are saying that it's not going to work because Ollie's teaching it. But anyway, that's beside the point. Varane helps that system out because it allows us to play high line. It allows Maguire to play his game, which is what you saw at the World Cup. At the Euros. He likes to go in, intercept the ball. He likes to be aggressive. He likes to challenge the man high up the pitch sometimes. The problem was that Maguire would be doing that, but then if he gets beat, his backup recovery pace was Lindelof. And so Lindelof will get exposed because his one-on-one defending is a bit shaky. He's defending against strong physical players is very poor, especially in the air. With someone like Varane, Maguire's game can be at its full maximum because he can know he's got Varane behind him. He's got the pace to cover him. And he's also will be able to challenge other players.
Yeah, mate, it's just funny. I was talking to Dean Jones a couple of days ago, and I was saying how when this Varane news first came out, of course we reported on it on the Terrace, and I think people are now starting to learn the difference between a Football Terrace report and us talking about what the media is saying. And I just couldn't believe it. It didn't feel real. I played it down. I felt like we were getting I just felt like maybe we were going to get used, and it just I couldn't see him in a Manchester United shirt. The fact that there's so many things at play here. The fact he wants to join Man United above and beyond anybody else is an amazing feeling to me. The fact that, you know, he's picked Man United is an amazing feeling to me. It's also got me thinking about my own thoughts towards Manchester United. I know there's still a lot of question marks to be said about Ollie. But when you've got players like Varane and Sancho and Kieran Trippier, just look at who they were all being managed by, all the clubs they were at, the way they play football at those clubs and everything else. They're all willing to come and play for Ollie. And now a lot of what you'll get with Ollie outers is, I think they're more so coming to play for Man United. But at the same time, those same people say they can't see a world where Ollie gets sacked. It's frustrating that the club are going to stick with him for too long. they're going to stick with him, then the players are, of course, aware of that as well, right? The fact they're willing to come and play for us shows us we're not this fallen giant. But what it also does on the flip side of that, I've said it a number of times and I stand by it. There are no more excuses now for this Man United team. Should we close this if we had Kieran Trippier? I know there's still quite a few people saying, yeah, we still need a CDM. And it's quite funny, actually, how I'm seeing more Ollie inners fixate on this CDM position now than I'm seeing Ollie outers. And I think that's because Ollie outers have realized, actually, for our narrative, we can just say our squad's good enough if we sign these players. Ollie inners, I still feel them focusing and fixating on CDM like it's still going to be that excuse they need if it doesn't quite work out. But I honestly think if we keep Paul Pogba with the defenders you've mentioned, the attackers we've got, I still think our midfield is good enough to make us for us to be able to compete going into next season. In my mind, I really, really do. And this 4-3-3 situation, again, you're right. A lot of Man United fans continue to move the goalposts. As soon as, I want 4-3-3, we're going to do 4-3-3. Yeah, but it's not going to work because Ollie's here. Then why do you ask for it? I don't really get it. But mate, it is what it is. And you know, we're getting this player, and the money's very, very good as well. How good that when we're talking about, we've got the poll coming out now as well. Greatest ever foreign centre backs in the Premier League. How do you think he's going to stack up against these people? You know, when we review him in 3 or 4 years' time, how do you think he's going to do in the Premier?
You know what? Yeah, I actually predict that his first 6 months is probably be a bit shaky. Adjusting to the speed of the league, getting used to playing in England with the different weather, the different kind of climate, getting used to the language. I don't know how good his English is or if he knows it or anything like that. Fortunately, we've got like Paul Pogba there, got Martial there that can help him out. But yeah, but his first 6 months, I feel like I can see him just adaptive period. But then when he gets up to speed, I feel like he will be challenging Van Dijk for the best centre-back in the league. Because what we've seen of him for the last how many years, and remember, he was side by side with a player like Ramos. He's an excellent player, absolutely amazing centre-back. But he also was very rash. He also was someone that would do reckless things. And to play next to someone like that, you have to be cool, you have to be composed, you have to be the opposite to that person. And we've seen how good they are together. So for me, that shows me that, you know, Raphaël Varane is composed, he's collected, he's switched on, and that can only benefit Man United in the long run. So yeah, I can see him potentially challenging Van Dijk in what, after 6 months coming up to a season in the Premier League as one of the best centre backs in the league, if not the best. He's younger than Van Dijk. He's younger than Van Dijk as well. So he's got that against him. Not that much younger, but still I think like 2 years or something. So yeah, man, it's gonna be interesting to see, and it's gonna be funny to see how rivals, like I said, dissect his game, and if he gets dribbled past once by like flipping, I don't know, Chris Wood. See, he's trash. We all told him he's trash. Nothing like Van Dijk. But you know, Van Dijk's had his moments too. So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. And look, Van Dijk is an absolutely supreme being. But when you start looking at the two players, it's so similar. I was looking at it today. Van Dijk, 73% success rate on his defensive duels. Varane, 72%. Aerial duels won by Van Dijk, 68%. 67% for Varane. Loose balls won. 64% for Van Dijk, 64% for Varane. Interceptions for Van Dijk, 5.5 per game, 5.6 for Raphaël Varane. You know, losses of the ball, 8 times in a game by Van Dijk, 6 times by Raphaël Varane. Recoveries, just under 10 a game for Varane. Recoveries for Van Dijk's amazing here at 14 per game. And this is Premier League, Champions League, League of Champions League. You know, looked at the creme de la creme. When you start looking at their defensive attributes as players, they are so close to one another. It's unbelievable. From a defensive standpoint, they're there. Where I think is also worth looking at is passing. So Van Dijk gets a lot of praise for his passing. 90% pass completion rate. 57% pass completion rate on long balls. We look here at Varane. 91% pass completion rate. 59% pass completion rate on long balls. Through ball success, 26% for both players. Crossing accuracy, it's not really worth focusing on because they both barely attempt crosses. So there's no point of that. Passes, this is the interesting one for me. Forward passes, succession rate for Van Dijk, 82%, 84% for Varane. They both received the ball around about the same amount of times as each other, 38 and 39 times respectively. Passes into the final third, Van Dijk, 71% accuracy, which is colossal for a centre-back. 77% accuracy for Raphaël Varane. Like, these two football players are supreme beings. They're physically brilliant. They can pass, they can move, and defensively, they're absolutely out of this world. The only question mark over Raphaël Varane right now is, can he do it in the Premier League? And I think that is an absolutely fair question for anybody to pose towards him, because we pose that question for anybody who hasn't played in the Premier League before. But when you look at them and what they've achieved, yes, there's been some mistakes. And you can actually go through, and I've done this on Wirescout before. I've gone through and looked at like goals and mistakes from people, and you can put a compilation together and put clown music on in the background, and everybody goes, oh my God, it's the worst player in the world. But the similarities between Virgil van Dijk and Raphaël Varane are absolutely immense. I just want to give a quick update to anyone new that's tuning in, because the numbers right now of new people coming into the terrace are phenomenal. So thank you. Raphaël Varane has 100% agreed to join Manchester United Football Club. This is a fact. He has given the rubber stamp, the seal of approval to join. Personal terms are done. They are agreed. They're no longer not an issue. They are done. The base fee for the player has been agreed. The structure and a few add-ons need to be resolved. The legal matters are being reviewed by all three parties at this moment in time. And a big part of that is making sure there are no commercial clashes between the clubs, image rights, individual player sponsors, club sponsors, etc. There's a lot of work that has to go into that. It will always slow things down. Man United will put the final bid in once everything is resolved. One of the reasons that Man United will not submit their official bid until the end is Van Dijk wasn't a player on their transfer list this year. Not because he wasn't rated, not because he wasn't fancied, not because Man United didn't think he can improve their team, but he simply was viewed as 100% unattainable. As soon as it was made aware that Man United could get this done, the speed, the precision, the meticulous nature that Manchester United have got this deal done is nothing short of impeccable. So proud of the way my club have behaved in this. We want your thoughts and we want your feelings here right now on the Football Terrace. KJ is on with me. We're going to start going to your calls. If you remember, we're the only YouTube channel on the planet that allows you to phone in every single day to discuss all matters relating to football. Super Chat here says Ollie's head-to-head versus other top managers is actually good. He deserves the benefit of the doubt. Squad depth, I think you mean, are the problem. Ollie will come good. But you know what, my friend? Let's see what Ollie can do now. Let's see how Ollie pushes forward. I have my doubts, and many other people do. If you're a real Man United fan, let me just say this now. The best case scenario is that Ollie succeeds, not that he leaves. I think the signings of Varane, maybe Trippier coming in, and Sancho change things massively. I want to also point out this morning to all the Arsenal fans telling me that at 21 years of age, Theo Walcott was clear of Sancho. Let me just say this now to Arsenal fans that think that. At 32 years of age and after 17 seasons as a fully fledged professional, 127 goals and 90 assists by Walcott. At 21 years of age in just 3 seasons, 74 goals and 75 assists by Jadon Sancho. And on top of that, just to add some insult to injury, at 21 years of age, Theo Walcott had only scored and created 39 goals and had 5 seasons in doing that. 149 goals in that same time period, or by the same age for Sancho. Just drop that out. He can improve Man United massively. We're going to jump into your calls now. Myself and KJ here to chat to you. First up, we're going to go to Pav. Pav is a Man United fan. What do you want to say, mate?
Boy, it's getting closer, isn't it? Just before I start, I didn't get to mention it last night, Terry. Well done for 200k. I'm still kind of shocked how you haven't got more subscribers, though, because you are one of the best channels out there. And it's like you said, the only fan channel who actually lets anyone come on without having to send in a video of how you talk or how you look or whatever. So big props to you for letting people do that. But yeah, Varane, mate, do you know what? It's going to be the best signing since Robin van Persie, in my opinion. We haven't had a player, a centre-back of that quality come to our club since Vidic and Rio Ferdinand both retired and left. I'm really excited. Like, I'm more excited about this signing than Sancho, Bruno, probably all of them. Like, I've really wanted a centre back to come into this club and change how we defend, how we can keep the ball. Because we've, like, let's be honest, we've had teams just run all over us. We've not really looked that dangerous. We've let the fear factor go from Old Trafford, having to sit back constantly, defending, letting people run at us. And hopefully that will change this season. And also with the Kieran Trippier, I see a lot of people moaning about, oh, what about Wan-Bissaka? I don't think Kieran Trippier is going to play as a right back in a formation of a back four. I think he's coming in for when Ollie wants to change things up, maybe go to a free back with the wing backs. That's what I think Kieran Trippier is going to probably come in for if we do get him. But mate, honestly, I said a few weeks ago, I don't even know if I wanted to like carry on my Sky subscriptions and the other subscriptions, and I'm kind of excited. So I'm really looking forward to the season. And the only thing that's going to mess up this deal, if it does get messed up, is probably that Perez guy, because we know for a fact this guy's come out and said he wants to take revenge and all the people who backed out the Super League and all that. And I could just see this guy backstabbing us, just like slightly. I got that in my mind.
No, I do get that, Pav. What I would say to you, firstly, thank you for your kind words about the channel, mate. I really appreciate it. It is what it is, and we're growing. We're growing.
Yeah, you deserve it, bro. It's
really funny. Someone said to me the other day, "Yeah, but you're not growing as fast as these two channels," and I just said, "That's fine." Do you know what I mean? It's all about like what I am happy and comfortable with, and you know, it's funny, right? It's a bit like saying this. By the way, I love the United stand on AFTV. It's a bit like saying this. There's no point being a music artist if you don't sell as many records as the Beatles or Michael Jackson. That's essentially what the message we're giving out to other YouTubers. If you say, well, you're growing well, but you're not growing at the same rate as the best two ever. So, okay, so should we all stop? Can you imagine if nobody else ever made an album again because they were scared they weren't going to sell as many records in the first 12 months as Thriller? Like, just deep that for a second. It's mad. But no, listen, I appreciate the kind words. About Real Madrid pulling out, that geezer's all piss and wind, mate. He is not going to do anything. He's legitimately not going to do anything to scarper this deal, because Real Madrid need the money, mate. They need to go after Kunde or Pau Torres or somebody else. They need the 40-50 million pound that's going to be a guarantee through this deal. So it's awesome. The fact is, they offered, just before he went on holiday, Varane had a third and final offer. They said it was final. Who knows if they'll come back in with the fourth put in. Varane hasn't even responded to them yet. This is how much, and Madrid were the ones who initiated this last 4 or 5 days where the contact's been in between the two clubs. It was initiated more so by Real Madrid because they realized we need to get a deal for this player because we've got to recoup. We've got a season starting soon. There's no way Real Madrid are going to want to go another year without winning. Now, with Barcelona looking iffy and with Ati having just won the league title, Real Madrid can't allow it. Imagine Real Madrid let Atletico Madrid win back-to-backs. They can't allow it to happen. So they need to resolve things quickly, mate. So I wouldn't be overtly concerned about that at all, mate. I really, really wouldn't. Pav, for all your support, mate, a massive thank you to you. Thanks for coming on the terrace and having your top man. Cheers. If you want to phone in, remember the link is in the description below. What I also just looked at as well, KJ, I just compared Raphaël Varane statistically, just defensively to Lindelof. Passing-wise, they're pretty much the same. We all know that Lindelof can pass.
Yeah, Lindelof's good on the ball.
Look at this here. Defensive duels won. 60% for Lindelof, as we said, over 70% for Varane. Aerial duels won. Varane beats him by 12%. Loose balls won. Varane beats him by 7%. Slide tackles won, the same actually. Interceptions, over 1 extra interception per game by Varane. You start looking at the defensive elements. Those 10, some of them nearly 20%, but you know, defensive duels. Lindelof wins is winning 57% of his defensive duels. 73%, that's almost 20% more he's winning. Like, I don't think people understand. And remember, at this level, because it's only isolated defending, you only end up doing 3 or 4 defensive duels per game. And Varane wins the vast majority of his. And that's the difference. You know, you've got to remember, Lindelof is attempting nearly 6 per game, and he's losing almost half of them. So actually, Varane wins more in a game than... Sorry, Lindelof almost loses as many in a game as Varane wins.
Yeah,
it's levels. It's levels.
Yeah, man. It's just and this is the thing. Victor Lindelof he's a good footballer. You know, I don't think anyone can deny that he's a good footballer. But when it comes to the physicality, when it comes to the pace of the Premier League, you see him struggle. And Varane is someone that is a clear upgrade on him. And Lindelof is a player that I believe should be back up to Harry Maguire. Because if you put Varane next to Lindelof, I'm pretty sure he'll be fine in terms of, like, say if it was like a game where Maguire's out or he needs to rest. Like, I'm fine with that partnership as well, because I feel like they will also complement each other. The defensive options for Man United now, when Varane comes in, he just opens so many doors for different combinations, different rotations. I mean, what's it? Axel Tuanzebe's going out on loan by the looks of it, so that means more likely Eric Bailly is going to stay. So when you've got a centre-back team of Maguire, Varane, Lindelof, Bailly, that's 4 very experienced, reaching their prime centre-backs. That's very, very good to have. Very, very handy to have. So we know Bailly's injury record. We know that Lindelof can sometimes drop in form. We know that Maguire needs a rest because he plays like every game. The way that our options are expanded now, it's just wonderful to see. The upgrade is immense.
Yeah, mate, it absolutely is. We're going to go to a gooner now, James, to come on and have his say. Raphaël Varane closing on Man United. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, what's good, Terry? First of all, congrats on 200K. I've only recently started coming on the terrace, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. So thanks for letting me on. I want to touch on a couple of things. The Theo Walcott one, I'm a completely agreement with you. I feel like if you give a player, a above average player, the time he had at Arsenal with a little bit of pace, he can replicate what Theo Walcott did. For me, he was a good player, but that was over like a 3-year span. And then after that, it was kind of mediocre. So I'm in 100% agreement with you. You can't compare the two. Jadon Sancho is elite and Walcott is not.
Do you know what's funny about it as well? Someone sent me a screenshot of his stats from, I think, the 2013-14 season. I'm like, bro, he was 25 when that happened. And the point is, 21, he's like, you're highlighting a season where he's 4 years older than, by the time Sancho is 25 years of age, he'll have doubled Theo's career outputs. So comparison is a madness to me. But yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I think he's an incredible signing, and I think Varane is an incredible signing as well. As an Arsenal fan, I'm very jealous of the signing. Like, we signed Ben White last night. I'm going to get banned for saying this, but I'm happy with the Ben White signing. But getting Varane for a lower price or a similar price to Ben White is just incredible business. And I think it's just going to completely transform your team. I think it will have a similar effect to what Van Dijk had on Liverpool. I just think it's going to, as KJ said, it's going to take you from a very good defense to an elite defense to compete with like the Cities, the PSGs, the very best of the best in Europe. And yeah, like, I'm caught in two minds, obviously, because as a rival fan, I don't want Manchester United to be good. But some of my best times as a football fan was watching Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson compete for season on season, and seeing you get stronger. I'm hoping it will allow Arsenal to get stronger, and hopefully we can see each other competing at some point. But in a non-biased perspective, I think this puts you into, you have to be competing now for the league and Champions League, I think. So it's just an incredible signing.
Yeah, I hear that. And do you know, it's funny, a few of the comments in the section talking about the bench becoming stronger. I'd love to pose this question to like KJ. Like, one, that how much better is the bench with these signings we're looking at? But I also look at one of the reasons I think Harry Maguire almost looked reborn in the summer. Tyrone Mings started very, very well in this tournament. And Maguire had to be good. If Maguire wasn't so good against the Czech Republic when he came in, he may not have started in the game against Germany. If he looked iffy, you know, hopefully the Varane signing, KJ, with Lindelof still wanting to be in the first, you've got to hope Lindelof goes, well, I'm going to up my game now. You want all three centre-backs to be fighting for those positions, don't we?
Yeah, to get a Champions winning, like a Champions League winning squad or a Premier League winning squad, you need every single player fighting for that spot, knowing that the spot can get taken at any point. That's why the Jadon Sancho deal for me is amazing, because that puts pressure on Martial. Again, that put pressure on Mason Greenwood to invent himself as a wide forward or a striker. It pushes Rashford knowing that, yo, fam, we ain't going to be playing you through injuries no more. When you're fit, you have to be firing. Otherwise, you can get dropped. You look at the back line. You got Luke Shaw and Telles. We've already seen the transformation that Luke Shaw has had because of the Telles addition and how he's been competing with him. It can only make our team stronger and better. The only thing that we need to improve on is the defense. The right back situation. Can we get someone to challenge Wan-Bissaka? That's what we hope Trippier is going to be. Can we bring in a defensive midfielder that challenges Fred and McTominay and raises their levels? Because we all know that they're the first on the chopping block when it comes to that midfield. So the squad depth that United are building right now is something to be encouraged by. It's something to be excited by. And again, like you said before, all of this now goes into Ollie's court. We've got the issue with our hierarchy. We've got an issue with our owners. That will always be there. But in terms of Ollie the manager, coming into this new season, getting probably the best backing of any manager that we've ever had, barring Jose's first season, you've got to say to him now, you've got to prove yourself. You've got to. This is it now. Yeah. Like, yes, he's going to get a new contract, but contracts mean nothing when you're underperforming.
Yeah, and this whole, we're going to add Sunshine into the stream with us as well now to have you stay. I think the contract thing's one of a lot of people have kicked off about the contract. I've been quite relaxed about it because yes, we might waste a bit of extra money in compensation, but if he does flop like the Ollie out is predicting to do this year, they will just sack him anyway. So it really isn't too much of a concern to me. But Sunshine's with us now. Welcome back to the show, mate. The Varane deal is 99% done and complete. A few legalities mainly to resolve. Give me your thoughts on this deal almost happening. And are you a little bit in shock that United have pulled off a signing for one of the best centre-backs in the world?
I'll be honest. It's, for me, I still can't believe it. It's that real. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think any United fan expected for us to get another high-profile player this summer. But at the same time, I don't think anyone expects us to pounce on an opportunity as big as this. I think that's one of the most things I've been shocked at. And you know, we still haven't seen Sancho's announcement yet, so I can't even say Varane's here. Do you know what I mean? So like, my emotions are all up in the air with that one, but it's looking bob on, man. And with a Varane at the back, like your thought process in terms of how this team can shape up and how it's going to look is just like I can't remember the last time we ever had such a positive feel to actually go and compete to the level where we need to. And I feel like not only we can compete, but we can actually go there and have a go at actually trying to win rather than setting up just to not lose. And I think Varane allows us and enables the team to be able to do that, man. So I'm really happy with Varane if he turns up, bro. Yeah, man. I'll be gassed, bro. Trust me. Trust me.
No, listen, I hear you on that completely, mate. And I think as you say, it's the depth, it's the quality. And listen, I'm very much up for. I think they'll be over-analyzing of him. They'll be looking at rivals, of course, will do it. There'll be certain journalists straight away. Right? How can we remember what Maguire went through? I remember that one of the first games of the season. Yes, there was a bit of a gap between the two players, but that's because long balls are being hit. I actually remember watching about 10 games that same weekend or two, see how far apart centre-backs were split when they pushed the high line and balls were being kicked long, and it was all relatively the same. But they focused and said it might have been Lindelof that got beat in the air by a dwarf, right? But they focused on the fact that Maguire was too far away from him, and it's like I've never seen that kind of analysis in football in my life. It would always have been the player who's 6'2" and lost out an aerial challenge to somebody that's 5'2". That's the issue here, not the fact that there was a bit of distance between the two. So I'm expecting that, but at the same time, why do you get that level of? If we were signing bang average players, you don't get that kind of scrutiny, and it shows me where Man United are as a football club. I missed a super chat earlier. Very, very sorry. From Magic Mastermind, he says top signing. Only worry is when you get a good manager. And do you know what? We've said it a number of times, and I'm sure Sunshine will agree. It's a case of I'm just kind of happy that we're getting this good squad sunshine, because I think finally we'll be able to put the Ollie debate to bed, either one way or the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for me, I was, a lot of people who hear me chat about Ollie. I've always been Ollie for the rebuild, not Ollie forever. And it was always to get to a stage where once he's got his players, like, we as a fan base, we can't say anything other than Ollie, prove us wrong or prove us right. And I think it's getting to that stage now. For me, again, the issues that I found with Ollie was, I think the small areas which he can improve. I think we all can agree that is in-game management, his team selections, and having the bottle just to go for it in certain games is an area of improvement. But those are easy things, and if we see it this season, and I'm pretty sure we will with the 4-3-3 news coming out as well, which, let's be honest, was probably his most successful formation to date. I think he's got a chance to keep it there, and I think Ollie out fans who are blatantly Ollie out fans need to have that respect for him if he turns it around. Your beliefs can change, and I think you should be open-minded to that if he does prove you wrong, because ultimately we're all United fans, well, most of us, and we want United to do well. So I think it's a big season for Ollie, and I really do hope that he shuts me up and shuts the other critics up, and makes United great again, bro.
Yeah, that's the hope. That's the hope. Go on, James.
I think for me, as a rival fan, I'm going to be non-biased here. Obviously, you have been ahead of us, Arsenal, in the league for the past 4 or 5 seasons, wherever it is, in terms of squad, in terms of results, and all this. Whenever we've played you, I haven't feared your squad, because I think, from my perspective, if we beat your first 11, who'd you bring off the bench? You didn't have that quality to come on and really change a game. I think now that you've added Sancho, you've got these key pieces, as you said, your depth is ridiculous, and you can bring on players to change a game instantly. And for me, that's scary, because you can do that against us. You can do that against any other team in the Prem. That will gain you a lot more results than you've had in the past, I think.
Yeah, no, listen, I totally get that, and it's funny. I'm seeing a few tweets this morning from like Ollie outers, and they're kind of thread they're pulling on is very much. It's appalling that even a manager of Ollie's level, it's appalling. This is the first proper summer where he's been backed, and again, I think this is the element of truth into that. But again, we're on the layer one. It's layer one, like key stage one analysis. The reason that it's taken this amount of time for him to be backed is because of the very thing they all denounce and say doesn't exist, and that is the internal structural rebuild at the football club. Our processes, our scouting teams, our reported key decision makers, our football minds were being ignored by the bankers and the money men. We were turning down the lit because we had Phil Jones. We were telling Jose Mourinho, love or loathe him, that they were saying, we know more about football players than you do. You don't need another centre back. You don't need another this. You don't need another that. You know what we're just about to sign now. Like the same people that said we shouldn't have bought more centre backs for Jose are celebrating us about to land one of the best centre backs in the world. By the way, we still have those same centre backs that Jose signed at the club. You should always look to better your squad when the right players come along. When you're a team like Man United. So for everyone who was talking about it's a disgrace that we're only backing Ollie now, I believe that it was only plausible to back him to this level with these players. People forget the stories that circulated 2 summers ago. We spoke about them on the terrace. Jadon Sancho was approached, even though he was very early into his time at Dortmund, was approached about going to Man United. And his response was along the lines of, I don't want to go to that club. It's turmoil at the moment. I want to see how... Within 12 months, his mind was, I'd love to go and play there now. What's that based on? That's based on the feedback from his contemporaries and from his friends at the club. From, listen, it's not a great place to be in right now, to it's a harmonious place to play football. I understand people want a better coach, but until the structure is built and we're recruiting the right people, the behavior is right and the ethos is right, genuine long-term success, and it doesn't mean winning every season, it just means being competitive every year, is very, very difficult to attain. I think the final piece of the jigsaw is getting the Glazers to have the same level of expectations as I think an Ollie or any normal sane thinking Man United fan has. So again, I understand the frustration that Ollie wasn't given this caliber. People don't think he's been given this caliber of player up until this summer, but it was about letting Ollie and his team build a process that enabled this to be possible. And when you were as broken as we were, it was never going to happen in one summer. And it's why I keep saying to Arsenal fans, like, you're almost starting again this year. It's going to take 2-3 years to build this structure to make it work. And you're only in your second year of doing this. And patience needs to exist. Liverpool under FSG didn't become Premier League and European champions in 1 or 2 years. It took years of change and processes being developed and process of elimination. Man City, you'll know this, Sunshine. You live in Manchester. They weren't run as well as they run now when the Sheikh first came in. It's taken them over a decade to get to this nearly a decade to get to the Pep level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Like City for me, like as much, and it's gonna pay me. But from a football perspective, I remember when they had Craig Bellamy, Sean Wright-Phillips, I believe Gareth Barry was still there, and they were giving Manchester United a good run for their money. Like, this was before the oil money came through. They were genuinely giving us a good run for our money, beating Fergie a couple of times. You know, I think you may remember those times. And I used to think, you know what, from a footballing perspective, this is a very, very good rivalry that we're starting to build, because not only are they kind of progressing from a football perspective, but they're actually making a name for themselves against a team that still was challenging for the title under Fergie. So once they brought that oil money in, and then they started to just kind of get rid of Phillips and Stephen Ireland and all, and I was thinking, wait, you've got a great cog working for you now that you can build off, that is genuinely respectable, similar to what United have done, Liverpool, Arsenal under Wenger, like, and you're just throwing that away with oil money. My respect for them just absolutely dropped. But you know, that was their choice of doing things. And to answer your question more specifically, it's taken them time to a stage where they've built how, you know, we obviously don't really agree with how they've built it, but ultimately they've built it, and it's taken time. And now they've got a well-working oil where, you know, they've got an incredible bench, a bench that would easily fit in most people's top 11. So yeah, man, like it's patience, and I think United are getting there now. United are actually getting there.
Because people forget, when the money first came in, their manager was Mark Hughes. When the money first came in, Mark Hughes was the manager, and they gave him what, I think 2 seasons. I forget how long he got with the money, but then we're spending money on like players like Robinho, who didn't even know Man City existed when they signed him. Like, they made mistakes. They didn't win their first league title until 2012. Correct me if I'm wrong, Terry. The takeover happened in 2008.
The summer of 2008, yes.
Yeah. So what? That's 4 years after the takeover happened. It took to get them their first Premier League title. So it's clear that these things take time, and people say, yeah, but it's excuses. Like, managers come in and you can win anything with any squad. It's just like, no, the reason why managers can come into teams and do so well with the squad is because the structure has been there in place for how long to make that possible. Because if that's the case, teams who get relegated, all they need to do is change the manager and they wouldn't get relegated. But we've seen that many times, that they change managers 3-4 times and still get relegated.
And the prime example is looking at Manchester United Football Club from when Fergie took over. And I understand there's been a change in football, but he had to go in there and change, you know, out a drinking culture, change the mentality of the club. He started building the youth. And this is one of the interesting things. I remember listening to Sir Bobby Charlton speak years ago. Now, it must have been about 15, 20 years ago in an interview when they said, oh, was it true that Fergie was about to be sacked? And I trust Sir Bobby to not lie. There's no point, you know, Fergie was then a goat by then. It wouldn't have mattered. He just said that was what the media were telling everybody, but we knew what Sir Alex was doing behind the scenes. And it's the one area, it's that one part of my brain that still has faith in Ollie, that are things happening behind the scenes that just none of us are privy to, and we don't understand, and we're being a little bit impatient. And my hope is that's true, because nobody knew what Fergie was building. Nobody could, obviously the class of 92 didn't just happen. The class of 92 took work from 1984, 1985 until that point to get done. And it was creating this youth academy. It was changing the ethos. And, you know, people talk about a lot of things Wenger did, and rightfully so, diets and training methods that he brought to the UK, which is true. But Fergie was the manager, or one of the pioneers, around stopping the drinking culture at football clubs. Now, it didn't disappear completely, but it went from getting rat-ass 5 times a week to maybe having a few glasses of wine after a victory and a few beers on a Saturday after a game. Like, there were these subtle changes, and maybe Wenger's changes would have been impossible without Fergie's changes that came 10 years prior. It was almost a kind of look at the fitness levels we now have in football. There's always that knock-on effect. Does that make sense? And it takes a pioneer to begin these things. And, you know, I just think Man United fans need, again, I've been in some spaces this week where people have spoken about how all you need at a club is a world-class manager and money and you'll win. Well, it depends. I mean, how long have PSG had money now, and they still haven't won the Champions League? And they're in a one-horse race in France, so it's easy for them to win. It's only been at this point that City have had this like dominant spell where they've won a number of leagues. It was quite sporadic before that. And if FFP was in place when their owners took over, I think it would have taken them even longer. It would have taken, because City in the beginning, it didn't matter how much their income has now rose massively to catch Man United and all the other big teams. If FFP was in place from the beginning, I still think they'd be 5 to 10 years away from where they were when Pep came in, because they would never have been able to acquire the quality and the volume of players they did so early on. The same as Chelsea. Chelsea wouldn't have gone from being a Champions League qualifying team to winners of the league in 1 or 2 years under Roman if FFP was in place. Now, I'm not trying to pull down what they've achieved. It is what it is. It was within the rules. That's life. You move on from it. But I just think people have got to understand that it takes time to build these well-oiled machines and these structures. So I get people's frustration at these deals only happening now under Ollie's sort of tenure, but it's about creating an environment where people want to be here. And trust me, no professional is signing for Man United because of what we used to be. They're signing for Man United because of what they think they can make us back into. And I'm telling you this now, and Sunshine, you'll know this from a local standpoint as well as we all know from a global point of view. If Varane and Sancho and the Maguires and Rashfords are part of a Man United team that becomes ultra competitive again and wins Premier Leagues, because of this decade, it's almost decade we've had where we've fallen away, the level of status they will achieve in the game will be gargantuan, won't it?
Sorry, I was on my mute there. Yeah, massively. And I think you've got to understand as well, yeah, like Man United fans, especially the local fans, yeah, they know what this club has been built off. Like, I know I've got friends whose granddad and great granddad was part of the like building this club like with their own hands. So when you get that turnaround in fortune, like you have ups and downs, we've all had ups and downs at this club, which is very well documented. And when you have that slight bit of positivity, like the fan base just it's like they're a bubbling volcano just ready to erupt, and it's like, yeah, we're back, we're here. And we did it, you know, with your standard. We did it with your hate, with your banter. We did it. And I think that's what a lot of the fans that I speak to are pretty much waiting for. They're gearing up for this. And if Varane gets over the deal, if we do get that DM, if we get a Trippier, Sancho on the right, trust me, United fans they'll let you know about it. We will let you know about it, and we'll be here for all the hate needed. Literally, we will be here for all the hate needed, because we literally stand on our own. Literally on our ones, like we just stand on our own, like we're ready for any heat that's ready from any rival fan, and we'll be ready to give you back 100%.
And what you do need as fans, you just need your team to be a little bit better as well, because then it's really fun. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to banter back when your team's trash, but we're doing well. Jay, Sunshine, KJ, thank you for coming on. All of our viewers, all of our super chatters, all of our brand new subscribers today. A massive thank you to all of you. I've just got to get the boy ready now. I've got to get him to the airport very soon as he's going back to Ireland today. So we're going to go sort that out. I'll be back later on today with some more content for you as ever. Raphaël Varane closing in on this Manchester United deal. Personal terms agreed. He is going to be red. If you're a bitter rival, just give me them tears. They taste beautiful. Man United fans get, as Dean Jones said on the Done Deal show on Thursday, you can start to get excited. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.